decided to join us on another Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. It is Monday, February the 19th. It's President's Day. It's a holiday for some, and for others, not a holiday. And for some, even if it's a holiday, you might have been very busy and doing a whole lot of everything, which is usually what happens. Even when we have a break, we end up being very busy. But all is good, all is well. Welcome to another edition of Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. This is the sacred space and place where you will find all things enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife. It's for all women, but in particular, we're paying special attention to Black women as we experience this season often different than other women. And so we are grateful. We are not going to get stuck in the mantra of midlife crisis and this is the end and woe is me. We are deciding to redefine, reimagine, rediscover, yes, this season of rebirth for us. And it is a season that we get to walk fully and on purpose and unapologetically in our greatest selves as we reprioritize our joy and our peace. As my book says, yes, the enlightened woman, we are in our season where we need inspiration and we need to reflect to rediscover the joy of being who we are in midlife and beyond. So, welcome. Hey, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay, I'm so glad you joined me on tonight. We are going to continue in the conversation in this month of February. It's Black History Month. Yes, we are loving the skin we are in. And as my husband always says, this is the time that we become more aware of God's story in Black and what a story it is of resilience and bounce back and power and empowerment and tenacity and brilliance. Yes, all of the above and more. I don't think there's enough adjectives to talk about what an amazing people we are. And when you are for something, it doesn't necessarily mean you're against anything else. So there's enough love to go around for everyone. Yeah. All right. I'm grateful. So come on in, call your sister, text your sister, email your sister, tell her it's time for Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. I just love our community because we encourage each other. We teach each other. It's not just me when I have guests, special guests, if it's just me, we're here to encourage and empower and strengthen each other so that we know that you are not on this journey alone. Right? So it's February, it is love month, it is heart health month, and in particular for Black women, that can be a very precarious place because a lot of us deal with heart issues, heart ailments, heart disease, and a lot of it is preventable. But we need to acknowledge that the inequities in the health system sometimes causes Black women to suffer longer with heart ailments, or by the time they get to the doctor and somebody's listening to them, they are in cardiac arrest, full or mild, or whatever the case may be. It can be detrimental. Heart attacks and heart diseases is the number one killer of women, and so we need to be mindful of that. Right, so this is Heart Health Month, and Red Dress for Heart Health is usually like the first or the second Friday. And at our church, we had the opportunity to celebrate it on yesterday, bringing awareness to how important our hearts are and that we need to take care of them, literally and figuratively, which is what we're going to continue to talk about on tonight. Our theme for the month is self love is self care, loving yourself through the stages of the pause. Self love is self care, loving yourself through the stages of the pause. So, on tonight, we're particularly talking under the theme, if you know, you know. We're closing out the month today, literally because, we just instituted last month that every fourth Monday, my husband joins me and we talk about midlife marriage, and then we talk about marriage in the midst of the pause, both menopause, perimenopause, menopause, andropause. We talk about all the pauses, sisters and brothers that show up, just show up in our houses unannounced, and you know, just making themselves at home in our lives and in our bodies. And so last week we talked about, nobody told us about the mayhem that happens in our marriage in midlife and in the pause. And next week we'll be talking about love in transition. Woo, love in transition. So if that's you and you know some other couples in this stage of life, we actually have a ball talking about it. We love working together. We love working feeding off each other because God did a special thing when He put us together and we're walking in our purpose fully. And so we're looking forward to that. So next week, put it on your calendar. It's fourth Mondays in the meditation room with the doctors, Harold and Kelly Hayes, talking about talking about midlife marriage. And we'll be talking about love in transition because this season really is a transition. We're going through a transition. And so let's talk about it and um, give ourselves some tools and some insight. And then want to hear from you because I know you have some wisdom too. So grab your boo, grab your bae, and come on, join us. Even if you aren't in that place, you can also always learn if that's what you desire to be in relationship. All right, so we are here because we talk about the journey to midlife wholeness, and a part of that is our health and well being. And there's no way you can be in midlife anywhere from, look at this, y'all, 35 to 65 nowadays, right? And the onset of perimenopause and that whole mindset of shifting into this rite of passage called midlife and the pause can happen anywhere between 35 and you usually in perimenopause in that stage and heading to that 1 year period where you've been without a cycle, and past that 24 hours in that 365th 66th day, then you've crossed over into menopause. And technically once that day is over, you're then post menopause because menopause is literally 1 24-hour period when you realize you've gone a full year without your cycle. And then for those of you who may have had hysterectomies or for whatever reason you're no longer having a cycle, it can be really precarious to know when you've crossed that threshold. And sometimes we can kind of gauge it by age, but sometimes, do you know, and in particular for Black women, we deal with perimenopause and menopausal symptoms much longer than other women. I was working on trying to get these stats up so that I can show them to you. But Black women are 50% more likely to experience what we call vasomotor symptoms than white women. 50%, y'all, that's major. Vasomotor symptoms are literally what we call hot flashes or hot flushes, right? When it's just like an inner combustion of heat and you are sweating, you feel a little lightheaded. Some women are even nauseous and you just sweating. Then we're talking night sweats and all of that. Those are what they call vasomotor symptoms that has to do with our blood vessels. And here's the thing, they can't really figure out exactly why it happens, but they know it's because of the lowering of estrogen in our bodies, which is so important. Who knew? Most of us didn't. And when I went through the menopausal coach specialist course and read all of those things that are happening to our bodies that we have no idea about, man, and that's one of them. But it shows up as the hot flashes and the night sweats, right? And the whole body feeling kind of weird, and then you get cold and crazy. You are burning up. Then the next thing you know, you're shivering. right? You're cold, and it's up and down and up and down. And but for black women, did y'all hear that 50% of black women are more likely to experience those vasomotor symptoms than white women, right? And then check this out. This is Black History Month. That's why we're focusing on this in this particular episode. Black women have higher rates of depressive symptoms during menopause at 20% versus 13% of white women. Y'all, did you hear what I said? Black women have higher rates of depressive symptoms during menopause at 20% versus 13% of white women. And you might say, what's, those depressive symptoms? Those are what you might call the blues. Those are sad days, or you can't focus and you lose your oomph, you lose your zeal, you lose your vim. You would prefer to just stay in bed. You feel really tired and fatigued for no reason. You don't find joy in the things that you used to find joy, and you having those mood swings up and down, and the pendulum goes from one end to the other. You feel angry, you feel unsettled, you just don't feel yourself. Can I get a witness? Anybody out there would want to say, yeah, that's me? Right? Yes, Lisa say, yep, this is just how it is. I don't know. I turned my comments on late, so I don't know if that was the whole if you were talking about the vasomotor symptoms, which is the hot flashes or flushes or night sweats and getting cold and hot, or if you're talking about the depressive symptoms. And because some women don't even realize that those are symptoms of perimenopause, and menopause is depression. We don't talk about it often because it's like we only talk about hot flashes, but yeah, those that sadness that can kind of come over you, and one minute you are like can take on the world, and the next minute you're just there's like a blanket that comes over you and you feel sad, you feel blue. Sometimes it can be precipitated by um, what's going on with your body or health diagnosis. It could be precipitated by you just not being able to do what you used to do. You don't feel yourself, you don't feel well. It can be precipitated by looking over your life and feeling regret and feeling angry or feeling frustrated or feel like you may have missed it. All of those things can churn together like a perfect storm and cause that. And we need to be aware as African American women that we experience our symptoms worse and longer, right? I declare I have been dealing with these symptoms for over 10 years. And here's the thing, we don't always know and can't put our hands on it and pinpoint it, because we weren't aware that what we were feeling and what we were going through and the symptoms we were dealing with was indeed perimenopause. And if you go to the doctor with all of those symptoms, 9 times out of 10, your vitals are normal. And so your doctors are looking at you like, ain't nothing wrong with you, right? And they're not aware and not taught and are not sensitive. They're not menopause specialists, so they're not even recognizing it for what it is, right? On average, this is what we're talking about. On average, onset of menopause for Black women can begin 8.5 months earlier than other women. 8.5, that's almost a year earlier. So, if you are 40, 45, even 50, starting most the average for Black women, we're starting at a much younger age. And it can be disheartening because we don't always know what it is, and nobody seems to understand. And your doctors can be dismissive, which can also put you in a depressive state because they start to make you feel like something is wrong with you, and it something is happening within you. It's not something is wrong with you, but because we don't have the verbiage, we don't have the language, we don't have the support, we don't have the insight, we can begin to think there's something wrong with us, and then it is a cycle that continues to happen. That's why enlightened women, that's why Mondays in the meditation room, that's why the serenity experience exists, so that we can, what do we always say, y'all, normalize the conversation, destigmatize prioritize our reproductive health and decolonize our well being. And so we're doing this as a movement to require that things change for us, right? All right, Facebook user, I'm not who sure you are, so identify yourself. You just said all of it. So let me know who you are. So I'm glad you're here with me, right? Man, can I tell you, then what happens for us that we're talking about this to educate us as Black women during this Black History Month, right? Is that the symptoms that last longer. Oh, hey, Subi, last longer. Like so, the night sweats and the hot flushes that affect our sleep could last almost 6.5 years in non-Hispanic white women versus, drum roll please, didn't I just say I thought 10 years for Black women? 6.5 years for non-Hispanic white women versus 10 years that those symptoms can last in Black women. And why this is more detrimental to us, because the decrease in estrogen affects literally every system in your body. And then when we're not taught how to harmonize with our bodies and to do things and change things to help our bodies to go through this process, it can increase our cholesterol. It can increase us being now in the pre-diabetic or diabetic range. It can increase the danger of heart disease, right? And it can increase the danger of certain cancers. It can increase the dangers of certain mental and emotional illnesses. And so we have to learn how to be our own best advocate. And even if it takes a minute to find the right doctor, you have a right to do it. You don't owe any physician your loyalty if they are not advocating for you, if they're not listening to you, and if they're not responding to you. Go right? You can Google menopause specialists in your area. In the next few weeks, we're going to put more and more resources up because more and more is being done, more and more is being, even legislation. There is a Black sister in Congress who's presenting bills for health insurance and workplace benefits to help women, because a lot of businesses are suffering because women are suffering because sometimes their symptoms are so severe that it interrupts their ability to work, right? And if you're still on your cycle, you have those issues or concerns and you have them on again, then off again, and then you're at work and it's the whoosh, right? And you have to leave work, or the hot flashes, or the brain fog, right? And it's hard to function. A lot of those symptoms can be severe enough in some women that it affects their ability to work. And so we want to make sure we stay educated, and we want to make sure we support one another, and then we do those things that help us. So on tonight, right, I only got a few more minutes because I don't want to keep us long, because I want us to be able to power down and relax, because that's one of the things that helps us through this season. So tonight I'm talking about, we're closing out, self-love is self-care during this love month, loving yourself through the stages of the pause. The best thing you can do is to be kind and patient with yourself during the season, because it is very discombobulating. It is very confusing for many. And so we have to take a moment to get still, get quiet, and be kind to yourself. Don't blame yourself, because you are not necessarily sick. Menopause, perimenopause, and this transition is not an illness, it's not a disease. It is the normal part of our body as it transitions us to begin to focus on different things in our lives. Before that season was birthing and building and all of that, this season is to shift us towards um, prioritizing ourselves and becoming, to walk in our sage wisdom season, right? But it's also the season of our greatest productivity, creativity, and opportunity. They don't always present that. They probably make it seem like we off to pasture or something, but no, right? And then we need to also say to women that are in the beginning stages of this, in between the ages of 30 and 40, and you still want to have children, you absolutely can still have children even if you're experiencing perimenopause symptoms. That's why it's important for you to have a good doctor and be in conversation with your physician to help you through that process if you really want to. And we need to talk more about that as Black women, talking about infertility and fertility issues that we often have. And so we need to talk about that as well, but not tonight. Tonight, we are talking about if you know, you know, right? As it relates to self love is self care, loving yourself through every stage of the pause. That means while you're going through all of those symptoms, right? And then when you're on the other side, and it's all connected. So we need to be mindful that it's not just our bodies, but it's our spirits, it's our mind, it's our soul, it's everything. Right? Somebody say everything. I know, I feel like I'm in church, right? Somebody say everything. It is all of the above. So we're talking about, as we close out this month, right? Focusing also on heart health, right? Let's talk about how to really love ourselves. And it's not selfish, it's necessary. Can you say it with me? Boom, shakalaka. It's not selfish, it's necessary. You are one, and how you feel about yourself, if you're denying yourself, if you're lying to yourself, if you silence yourself, and if you're allowing yourself to be under a lot of stress all the time, you can not only affect your soul but your body. mm. So the question or the statement tonight is, if you know, you know. What you don't know can hurt you. You remember there used to be that statement, was what you know can't hurt you. That is so untrue, right? That's a lie from the pit. We going back to church, right? If you know, you know. We know what that means, kind of like that slang. It's a way of, somebody will say a statement or somebody will show a picture, and without words, you just know. And they're like, if you know, you know. If you in, you get it, you get it. That's basically what they're saying. But every might not get it. But if you know, you know. And here's the thing: what you don't know can hurt you. And this is the context. If you are going to love yourself, self love is self care. It's not just spending money on getting your nails done or getting your hair done or going to the spa and hanging out. Those are good things, but they can't just be the main thing, because the main thing is how you feel about yourself inwardly. Because you can look great, your nails can look great, your hair can be fierce, your makeup can be on point, you can be dressed to the nines, to the T's, looking good, but not feeling good on the inside, because you are not necessarily organically and truly happy with yourself and where you are in life and who you are. It is one of the best things I think that can happen in midlife, and while you're going through the pause, you begin to reflect on who you are. Because many of us will say, I'm not sure who I am. I think I lost myself. I think I gave too much of myself to this person and that endeavor and my job and my kids, then my grandkids, then my parents, then my friends, and then just always trying to be everything to everybody, and doing things that everybody else wants to do, that you've lost sight of what brings you joy and who you are and what makes you you, because the world makes us feel like we need to be somebody else in order to be accepted or affirmed or loved or powerful, right? And so that the question is, if you know, you know, right? What you don't know can hurt you. This is what you need to know for self-love is self-care, is one, know your creator. 2, know yourself, and 3, know the other. Let's break this down real quick before we go to bed. One, like, okay, so if you've been around church and maybe not been to church, maybe you don't even know the Bible, that doesn't matter. But I'm gonna use something that's from the Holy Writ, something that's from the Scripture, that's something that's from the Bible, where in the Old Testament they had all these laws and all of these rules that they were trying to follow, right, to make themselves right, to make themselves acceptable to God. Then we get into the New Testament when Jesus came and he paid the price for all of that wrongdoing that we had done as humanity, and he reconciled us to God. This was a new covenant, then a new era, that all of those laws and rules were summed up into this statement: love God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, your strength, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. So anybody that says is selfish, is not God, is not spiritual, for you to love yourself, is missing exactly what the scripture says. Love God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, your strength, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Right? So God is saying yourself is in there, right? And it's not saying love your neighbor more than you love yourself. It says as you love yourself. And the issue is that I believe that we are so rude, we are so mean, we are so dismissive to other people. We can't love them because we don't even love ourselves. We love as well as we love. You can only love as well as you are and as well as your heart is, right? So self love is self care, meaning when you love yourself, you care for yourself. And when you care for yourself, you know how to care for other people. And sometimes caring for other people means not to try to control other people and to allow them to be and do who they are and walk their own path. Woo! Somebody say amen, hallelujah, right? And so let's talk about the fact that your creator, your God is where you start. Do you know God? And here's the thing: if you really knew God, you would know how much God loved you and how God was so intentional in making you who you are. God poured all of those special ingredients in you, those special proclivities, those special habits, those special quirks, those special gifts, those passions. God poured into you as your unique being to be who God created you to be. So your self-love doesn't even start with you. It starts with God, because God had an intention for you when you were born. This has nothing to do with your birth circumstances. This, whether they were good or whether they were great or whether they were, questionable. And we're the ones that's always trying to say something is questionable. But if God allowed you to be present, God wasn't studying none of that either. That's some southern stuff. We don't even know how to spell that. Anybody know how to spell studying? God ain't studying. My grandma said, I ain't studying you, right? In other words, I ain't paying no attention to you. I ain't giving you no energy. I'm not feeding into any of that. And God says, I know exactly what I was doing when I made you. And I said that you were good. I gave you dominion. I gave you power. I gave you the opportunity to choose. I trusted you so much that I believed that you would come to me and learn to choose the things that are in harmony with my will for you. I uh, grant you favor and forgiveness and hope and power and joy and gifting. I've given you life more abundantly. I've given you all of that. And that's where you have to start with your self-love, because you and I have to see ourselves the way God sees us. God sees us as good. God sees us as perfect the way we are, not in the sense of perfection, in that that we make no mistakes. No, I mean, even in your flaws, even in your humanity, you are perfect to God because God said that you are good. So your ability to love has to spring forth from your relationship with God and knowing who God is. Somebody say, if you know, you know, right? And if you don't know that, that can hurt you. So that means that you are loving based on condition, based on judgment, based on other people's opinion, and that can hurt you. Or you're not loving based on what experience you had with somebody else who didn't know how to love, right? So you have to know God. You have to know your creator. This is my story. I'm sticking to it. This might not be for everybody, but I finally learned how to embrace the fact that I am a spiritual teacher and everything I teach flows from that one truth for me. Right. And if that's not for you, then you have to find somebody else who's teaching from another vantage point. But mine, everything that I teach is focused on me knowing who I am in spirit and who God is and who God has made me to be. I tried all that other way. I tried to mix it all up, and God said, nope, come back to the middle. Come back to your North Star. Come back that you know, that you know, that you know, right? So that's where we start. Self love is godly, self love is necessary, self love is divine because God says we love God as we know as much as who God is. And that's how we love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And you can't love yourself until you, number two, know yourself. How you gonna love yourself if you don't know yourself? You can't be loving the fake you and the false you and the you making up to be so everybody else would think you something that you're not, right? Or contorting yourself to be something that you're not, right? And but can I tell you something happens when you cross over that line? I don't know, it's something about 50, 50, 55, and even sometimes earlier, you cross an invisible line and you don't know when you crossed it, but all of a sudden you was like, I don't care. Y'all can do whatever you want. I ain't gonna fix it. I ain't gonna fix it no more. I ain't trying to live for you. I don't it don't matter to me. I'm not looking at you for your approval. You just wake up one morning and you like, I don't give a hoot. You can put in whatever you want to put in there, but right? And you begin to release all those woulds and shoulds, right? You release all of that and you are looking for a more authentic, organic existence. You want it simple. Woo! Y'all. Yes. And when that happens, you then also begin to reflect and you like, no, I'm not going there. I didn't even like doing that anyway. I was just doing that because, I wanted to fit in. So I went. I ain't wearing that no more because that don't fit. I ain't going to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to not be able to breathe. Mm. Somebody talk back to me. Know yourself. So that's why I love this season because this is a season where you get to reflect and reclaim your true self, right? That and then you're comfortable and you embrace it. So if you know, know yourself. I know that I don't like that. I know that I don't want to do that. I know that that's not truly me. I know that I don't feel like I need to perform anymore. That the people who truly get me and know me, because here's the thing, you want people to love you for you, not for who you've been pretending to be for years. You want authentic friendships. You want authentic relationships. Oh, I love that. Lisa's saying, when you know, you grow. Yes. That's what we're talking about. This is the season that we grow, the season that we evolve. We become more of our authentic self as we shed, right? All of that other stuff that has been holding us down and weighing us down. And getting to know yourself is not about forgetting your experiences. It's not about acting like certain things didn't happen to you. All of the things that happen to you, good, bad, ugly, wonderful, painful, all of that, it creates the mosaic of your beautiful life. It's part of your story, it's part of your testimony, it's part of your humanity and how you relate to one another. Yeah, so you get to know yourself. And when you free your heart up from that, you open your heart for God to fill it with opportunities that you didn't even think was available to you because you're open. So you begin to attract the things that you were once repelling because your spirit was not ready for it, because you were not being your authentic self. Self love is self care, y'all. Loving yourself through all the stages of the pause. And it doesn't matter how long it took you to get here or how long it's taking you to continue to get to where you're going to be. Know yourself, right? Know what's in your heart. Know where the trigger points are and why they are, so that you can live with some sense of emotional intelligence, so that you're not going off on everybody and walking in a space of anger and frustration, so that you're living more at peace with yourself. When you make peace with yourself, you don't have any reason to go to war with everybody else, because what they do don't affect doesn't affect you the way it used to. Woo, y'all. If you know, you know your God, know yourself. And here's the other thing. And I was like, Spirit, what is this? Know the other. Know the other. Know your God, know yourself, and know the other. Right? When you know yourself, you know both your shadow and your shine. You know both sides of the coin of you. And you have to learn how to embrace them both. But then you have to know the other. You have to know that other people are going through the same journey as you are. That doesn't mean that you have to know everything about other people, but that you can acknowledge that you don't need to be angry with other people for the decisions that they have made in their lives, even if it affects you negatively or it caused some challenge. You get to determine how you respond to other people's actions. But you need to know people well enough to know what kind of boundaries you need to set with them, how much energy you're willing to give them, because you know them. You know them well enough to know how you need to be and who you need to be and what you need to be to them, that will allow you to protect your well being and your purpose and calling. Know your God, know yourself, know the other. I can only spend but so much time around that person because they're still on their journey, right? And sometimes being around them drains me, and I can't afford that. So I can only do an hour or two. Yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Know the other. Know them. You don't have to judge them to know them. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to do any of that. And you can set boundaries without even telling people you set boundaries. You just control your time and your energy. When you know somebody, you know in this particular season of their life, this is how they're going to respond. So I'm not going to create that negative energy if I don't have to. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? And that's self-love. Will you guard your own peace, right? When you know that somebody loves to create storms and drama and wreak havoc because they're still on their journey of healing. You're not responsible for healing them, neither do you owe them your life while they're going through. You can pray for them and even pray with them if they allow it. But guess what? Prayers are so powerful that you don't have to pray them with the person. You can pray for them. You can ask the Holy Spirit, how do I pray for them? If the Holy Spirit hasn't released you to try to intervene. And most of the time, the spirit doesn't. That's us trying to control somebody else. Woo! Self love is self care, loving yourself through the stages of the pause. And you have to be mindful of where you are in your seasons hormonally. You might just need to rest and sleep and eat better. Eat better. Eat. Woo! I'm in this season with God right now, starting today. Holy Spirit has said you need to eat differently because I need you to have some clarity. I was like, oh, I know what that means. That means you're eating differently. And so I'm eating differently, mostly plant based, and increasing my water intake and getting sleep. Because when you are dealing with perimenopause, especially as a black woman, y'all heard those statistics. If you joined us after we did those statistics, you need to watch the replay and watch from the beginning. If I'm dealing with that, then there are things, some things that I can do to mitigate the um, the fallout from what happens, right? Or what happens. So um, I eating different. We know that a lot of refined sugar and processed foods are not good for us while our bodies are going through the change. We know that sometimes eating a lot of meat, this is not telling people to go on a vegetarian diet or become vegans or anything, but we know that there are some things, some meats and things like that that we can eat. If we eat too much of it, because digestion issues can happen, bloating, all of that happens during perimenopause and menopause. Then, if we know that, then those things that cause more work to be happening there, then we should eat less of it, right? And then eat more of those things that will help our body. So, you may have to get a nutritionist, you may have to read some books about ways to eat that will help you harmonize your body during this season. So that's where I am going to be doing more juices, more fruits and vegetables, and a lot more water, protein, 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 right? And not those things that might help or cause my body or my digestive system to work harder than I needed to work in this season while I'm trying to be in alignment and harmony with my body, because the fact that estrogen is decreasing, it is affecting every system in my body. So, you can't eat what you used to eat. You feel bloated after every time you eat, right? You might even feel nauseous. Your bowels might be doing some different things, constipated one, or diarrhea, or just diarrhea, or whatever could be happening in your body. You have to learn to listen to the spirit, find you a good nutrition, and doctors tell you what you should be eating. And what, pay attention after you eat. If something makes you sluggish or makes you feel unclear or causes brain fog, all of that, then shift, right? Then shift. Drink lots of water, and even flavored water without the sugar in it, for a season, right? And sleep. Most of us don't realize how dangerous it is not to get enough quality sleep. And I know it's challenging for us because we're often awakened because of the hot flashes and the night sweats in the middle of the night, or we just wake up and then can't get back to sleep. All of those things can disrupt our sleep, which can cause weight gain and lethargy and brain fog as well as we're going through the season. So it feels like a cycle, right? So you might have to start preparing yourself at night with the nighttime ritual, um, powering down at least an hour before you're ready to go to sleep. Find a way, whatever works to calm you, whether it's music, whether it's white noise, whether it's reading, meditating, journaling. Just do a brain dump, get some all those thoughts and feelings and emotions out, and then release it for the night. Um, do some golden milk or some warm, some tea, chamomile, or something that will relax your body right at night. Mhm. And sleep with a cool, dark room, right? Find some pajamas. I declare, I feel like I want to start a lounge wear line and pajama line. Find some bamboo or something that allows you to sleep cool at night, right? Do whatever you need to do to work on creating an ability to sleep through the night. Find out what works for you. What works for one person might not work for everybody else. And guess what? It's getting warmer. Eventually, you can walk outside, dance in your room, do something to create some good endorphins that you'd be surprised that will help you sleep better. You don't have to pay a whole lot of money. Just put some music on and dance around your house. Right? If you got stairs, go up and down your stairs. Do something to exert, to release those good feel endorphins that also causes you to sleep well at night. Maybe not right before you go to bed, but do some type of movement that helps you move some of those toxins and things in your body, right? That might be getting in the way of good sleep. I find that I sleep better when I've worked out, right? So we can do it. We're our own best advocate, and we're our own best persons to love ourselves. Even if you have somebody that really loves you and honors you, they still can't love you the way you can love yourself, because that helps you love them back, right? And take a deep breath in and release it. Take another deep breath in and release it. Put your hand over your heart. And I invite you to repeat after me. Self love is self care. Self love is self care. Self love is not selfish, it's necessary. I commit to loving myself because I know. Woo, take another deep breath in and release. Woo, I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me in the meditation room. Don't forget to save the date, September 20th and 21st, as we prepare for our Serenity Experience for Women in Midlife, Well, Worthy, and Wealthy. Our theme is Grown Woman Things this year. We're excited. We're going back to the Pearl Modern Spa and Boutique in Columbia, Maryland. Our hotel is the Meriwether Lake House in Columbia, stone's throw away. Um, we're we're working on our registration page to go live soon. We thought it was going to be a couple of weeks, but I've said I am traveling at the speed of flow. So some things you can't control, but it'll be out soon. So just save the dates, save your monies as we prepare for registration, because you're going to have to make your deposit to hold your spot this year. I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to it, looking forward to it. Save the date, September 2021st, the Serenity Experience. Ah, I'm excited. Love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. And don't forget, next week it is Mondays, special Marriage Mondays in the Meditation Room with the doctors, Harold and Kelly Hayes. Love is a marriage in midlife. We'll be talking about love in transition, y'all. So put it on your calendar. Get your boo, get your bae, and come on out. Absolutely love you. Don't forget, this is the best season of your life. It's time to rediscover the joy of being you in midlife and beyond. Love y'all. See you soon. Bye.